Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Bowder speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. So I had to squint a little bit. The brightness on this is not set high enough for me, at least not in the open sun that is surrounding me right now. And what else is surrounding me is a lot of other things that are going to be unfamiliar to all of you. First of all, she disappeared across the boardwalk, or something like that, I don't know. I forgot how that song goes. It's been a while since, obviously, probably going to stop using that one. But yeah, I'm on a boardwalk right now, and also surrounded by some lakes and some open territory. And how did I get here, you might ask? Well, I drove. So I was literally just about to leave the house to do my usual thing, walk for a substantial amount of time, then get to one of the routes that I tend to do and do one of those. But at that point, both my parents returned, and my mum actually said to me, "What are you just walking to go somewhere, or are you driving and then walking?" To which I said, "Well, I thought of driving and walking. You know, I've considered it before, which I have many times, for whenever I got to that point, which is now, obviously." But yeah, because I wasn't sure, you know, what kind of place to pick. Also, because normally I just walk around and it's like, okay, I'll start from here this time, or maybe I'll have a particular path that I haven't travelled down in mind and I go to that one. And but also on that subject, obviously, parking spaces, because you do that somewhere in the middle of the city, and you know, depending on, because I never know how long Walking Wednesday is going to be filming wise. But I also don't know how long I'm going to be like, you know, going back and forth from places, because I don't usually do a circle, so I usually have to like double back and, you know, retrace my steps, or take a bit of like an alternate route to return to where I started. So because of that, imagine, for example, that I happen to find a parking spot and pay for an hour or something, and it turns out that I'm away for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I wasn't prepared for that. Alternatively, of course, I could be in the middle of talking about something, realize that I am halfway away from the path, and that I have half the allotted time to get back, and so I have to either double back and realize that, or I have to retrace my steps, or alternatively I get back to where my car is, and I simply and I simply just don't they need to like get in while filming, and I have to leave immediately. And that's not what you want, and then I have to find, I guess, like a different space or refill the meter or whatever. So a lot of a hassle for that kind of thing, for those reasons. So but then of course you suggest, you know, this place that we've been down a couple of times. We've been on this boardwalk a couple of times, just when we decide to do like a bit of a slightly longer walk than usual, as a family. So yeah, I've done, and that one has 2 car parks, one of which was apparently much nearer to the boardwalk than the one that I chose, because I was told I was going to be given 2 options for that. Or there were 2 options, because we started like planning the route down one of them, and you know, trying to account for road closures and whatnot. And then afterwards, and then immediately as we've established that, suddenly I hear like, oh, of course, well, you know, there's one that's nearer to the boardwalk itself, but you have to, but if you want that one, follow the instructions to your data set. He was like, well, of course I'm going to follow those ones, because that was the whole point, right? To be on the boardwalk. Speaking of which, we're off the boardwalk now. Let's get back on it. I like to explore the road less travelled, because, again, we only have like a designated path that we go down for these. It's kind of like in Galicia, actually, where, you know, we've found all the designated walks and forgotten our origins of discovering said walks by simply traversing unknown territory. So, but yeah, I'll stick to the path for this time. I mean, who knows, I might come back here and pick a slightly different area around this place. Because, you know, it's nice and remote, and now I know there's one of the car parks. Because I ended up going back into the first one because the instructions that my dad sent me were the same ones as the first park, I think. So, I don't know. Ultimately, that was an entire mess. But the end result was that I got another car journey out of it, and it has been exactly a week, because obviously last time I was off to pick up some lemons so that I could soothe my ailing throat from like all the different bits of like voice acting catch up that I was doing. And I'm not fully done with those. I've done like the vast majority of them. Like, for example, Final Break. That one got sent in, but there's a couple of things that need to be redone in some way. Also Secrets of the Plex, because I was still having sound issues for this week, and that one I was told, okay, well, I mean, you know, these some of these are working, some of these aren't. I've got the list of things, the ones that didn't work. But also, I've been told that was a low priority one, and so that's why I did Final Break instead. And also The Surface, and Fallen Angels, and a lot of other stuff. So, yeah, I'm doing the thing that ProZD does in like the parody sketch of the I'm a voice actor trope. You know, it was like, oh yes, I'm a voice actor, and this is you know, man, 50 auditions in the morning and 50 at night, but what a day that is, or something like that. I don't know, something exaggerate. To be perfectly honest, I don't tend to follow many posts from voice actors, ironically enough, except for ProZD and some other people. So that's not really saying much. But yeah, at some point I do want to do that. I just pick, you know, some random voice actor. I might film that after Walking West. I've got enough like camera space. Okay, so render that back and just be like, I am a voice actor, and then do like some random things that I pick from the catalogue that are the silliest of all time. Don't really know. We'll see. But for now, I guess to summarize other stuff that happened in the week, I fixed the issue that I had with the sound. How did it exactly? No idea, because I think what I did was I somehow managed to turn off the like NVIDIA high quality sound filter thingy that came like pre-installed with the computer, because that was the only thing that was like, well, I mean, that must be something. But then I forgot how I uninstalled it all, because by the time I realized it was working, I had like 3 different sound programs open, and who knows what I actually pressed in the end. And that was right after, that was on Wednesday actually, fittingly enough. That was right when I was finishing the review of the Fallen Angels, well, started the review of Fallen Angels episode that had come out precisely on that day, due to other delays that Aiden and I both endured. But yeah, it didn't work out because it was still, you know, cutting out significantly, as was my audio whenever I recorded. So it was clearly something to do with like the entire sound processing. I guess not just the, I don't know. But yeah, so I did like a couple of tests before, like after the stream ended, just with that extra like allotted time that I had. Turns out it did work. It was still to record Secrets of the Plex after that, and then Bond said no, low priority, so, you know. But yeah, thanks to Bond for helping out with that one, or at least, you know, enduring that, and also checking up on me while that was going on, because, you know, he directly messaged me and was like, hey, you know, that sucks about the stream, are you okay? Because, yeah, it does bum me out when that stuff happens. Of course it does. Especially because Wednesday and Friday are days that I very specifically like to stream most of the time, because obviously in between that time is Thursday, and, you know, for the sake of keeping up with the old watch hours, that's, you know, having like a day, well, having one day a week less than normal. I mean, it's interesting enough that I've already gone down to like 1 day a week less streaming on the channel, and the watch hours have stayed roughly the same. Excuse me for a second. There we go. Just wanted to let them pass. Yeah, the I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so don't know why I did that. I keep doing that sometimes. It's like I prompt myself in real time. Almost never works. Oh yeah, so going down to 6 days away. Not 6 days. Well, I say 6 maximum, I suppose. And the watch hours have stayed roughly the same. They go up and down now, like they ebb and flow a little bit, but nothing too out of the ordinary. And that's a good sign. You know, it's a sign of, like, you know, progress of the channel itself. Perhaps an evolution of my own craft as a streamer and reviewer, but I can only hazard a guess, because I don't think I changed anything too substantial apart from StreamYard, and that was already a case. But yeah, so that normally is where I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to have like too much of a gap, because that decreases the channel's, you know, momentum. That's important for you know, for channels to be able to continue to post, and that's one of the reasons that I shifted to doing so much live content in the first place, because I could do that on the regular, and, you know, keep people, you know, invested in coming back. Because it's one thing to have subscribers, but it's another thing entirely to have, you know, returning viewers. Because that's what YouTube nowadays cares about significantly more than subscribers. Because the metric is usually like a sign of, you know, a sign of success, but ultimately it doesn't provide any like direct benefits, apart from obviously hitting 1,000 subscribers to be able to be monetized, or 500, and you be able to, you know, use some of the partner features. Apart from those two examples, because, you know, I mean, you know, there's channels that are, you know, with millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions, but you know, it's like, well, yeah, that ultimately is not a direct translation. What they need is their returning viewers, and they have, a lot of them have significantly more. So there you go. And I think we've reached the end of the boardwalk portion. And like I said, it was not properly timed by me. So now I have two options. One, to retrace my steps, and you know what? I want to retrace my steps and go back and explore that other path. Because now that I actually have time and I've got towards the end, here we go, this is the end now, I can proceed. I can proceed that way. Because I don't think we tend to turn that direction. And then after this, I'll find the other car park for a different week, and then I'll probably start from somewhere around here and then go one of those ways. There you go. Makes perfect sense to me. What was I saying as well? So yeah, I guess on the subject of subscribers, I suppose, one thing that Aiden said to me at some point during the week was, I'm mad at YouTube. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, you know, that makes sense. YouTube can be infuriating a lot of the time, but, you know, tell me what ails you at this present moment. And he explained that the reason is because, you know, seemingly, it's the classic thing of, you know, you've been posting on the website for years, and you've only now just reached a certain milestone, and then you know, this new channel posts one video, and you know, and it performs well enough to outdo all of the work that you've put in years for. Not that that's a direct comparison or anything. You know, they do say that competition on YouTube is a slippery slope, and the person you're competing with the most should be yourself. But anyways, it's hard not to feel like that sometimes. And believe me, as somebody who's been posting for 11 years and has held on through sheer tenacity through ages of, you know, gaining like 1 or 2 subscribers every couple of months in the past, you know, I understand the sentiment a lot. In fact, when Ultra Nova actually came out, and you know, we showed how how people were able to gain, like StarTube subscribers so quickly. I was like, it's not that easy. Just because you managed to find success, AFMAO, with your, community channel of collaborating people and actual adults who knew what they were doing and whatever. But that's the reason that if I ever do like a 1,000 subscriber special, even though it's been a couple of years, that's what I want to focus on, is Ultranova, because ultimately, yeah, it's a part that I thought I would never get to, because I was just so atrocious in the early years. I had no clue how to even approach that. So ultimately, I understand that, but that channel in question was the Not Peachy channel, the one that was responsible for Imperfect, the video that we watched a couple of days ago, and I forgot to put monetization on for, so that was fun. But so as far as that goes, yeah, it was Imperfect was one of the things where apparently it was like pitched or something, and then afterwards it was I guess like, for months on end it was one of these ones that was in the cycles of, I guess, Discord and marketing and promotion and everything. A lot of voice acting shows do that. I guess Final Break is currently doing that, if you think about it, which honestly, it's a sign of promise for Emily particularly, and a lot of that is down to the animated trailer. But there is a lot to be said about the server activity itself that is worthy of being admired. And of course, it's a thing that takes like months of progress anyway, and people are used to that by now. So by the time that Imperfect actually came out, I assumed that everyone was, really excited about that, and so that's why I imagine it did so well on what was basically a brand new channel. But also because of the fact that there's a whole team that was hired for this. It also, what Aiden said, it doesn't seem like somebody like Not Peachy is new to gacha in any way. It very much seems like this is not their first rodeo. But then again, that could be down to the team or someone else, or multiple people. I mean, but it is a product that does not seem like somebody's first rodeo in the realms of gacha. Like Midori Stories, for example. When I first saw Not Your Average Girl, I've said before, I was blown away. And now, having seen what came just before that, I was even more blown away by the fact there was even more limitations attached to it. Pulling off the visuals that Midori did in such a simple yet effective manner in Gachaverse is admirable. There's no other way about it. You go back a bit further into the realms of Gacha Studio, and that's a different Midori Stories entirely, and we've all seen that. That's what a first rodeo looks like in gacha. Everyone has humble beginnings. Like, we watched on the Buttermunch, we watched the first episode of the Changes series, the Drarry one that Rosie Closey did, and the big advantage that Rosie Closey had was being able to properly spell things, and that's about it. So this one is a very, very potent start, and that might be why it's a new channel. In fact, I mentioned in the past multiple times on these reviews that these Walking Wednesdays, that my biggest regret in the history of doing YouTube, all 11 years, my singular biggest regret is not giving the Mutant Girl its own channel. Although ultimately that would have compromised, that would have meant that the Butterverse likely would never have existed, because the whole point originally was that it was supposed to tie in the stuff that I already had done on the channel and encourage people to check that stuff out once we managed to, bridge the gap a little bit between them, so to speak. But so that would never have happened, I guess. So You know, come to think of it, if I posted it on a separate YouTube channel, maybe that would have, I guess that would have meant that Fallen Angels would have had its own independent lore and such. Maybe not being in the Butterverse would have been advantageous, so it wouldn't have to be beholden to Greek mythology, and that's one of the big complaints people have about it. I don't know. Point is, it's a what if that I often think about, but as far as like the benefit towards myself, because I didn't realize at the time how like channels that feature just pure gacha normally do so much better than ones that were combined. Whereas my mentality was, people starting out, you know, different gacha channels, they had to start out with 0 subscribers. I at the time had 330 or something like that. So it's like, oh well, you know, I've got a far better starting chance now. You know, some existing audience of people who might be interested in this new thing. Because yes, this was around the time of gacha's like worst reputation, but most of my audience would not have known about that because I had only learned about gacha a few months prior. But yeah, reason that I that I bring that up is because yeah, the way that the video is actually edited, even some of the, like, you know, time-saving techniques, it's very clear that somebody knows exactly what they're doing in that regard, which makes its sins and its issues all the more tragic in a way, because not only did Aiden come forward with that idea, I think Josh also mentioned it, and Ghost Kitty. I know Ghost Kitty mentioned it. Oh hey, more Boardwalk. I should have continued a bit further actually. But I think I'm going to end up with having to free up space in a second, so I'm just going to pause this. And we're back. Good thing I can actually read the brightness, otherwise I'd have like a huge gap in there. But yeah, because of the fact that you can just tell that there is a capable team behind that, but yet they have chosen to, you know, hold on so many like knee shots, or, you know, they didn't manage their J cuts, or they seem to be potentially trying to cut down on lip animation as much as possible. A little bit of that here and there I can understand, but I mean, come on. Also, we did find out that the lips were indeed put on separately. It was nice to see somebody or a team that shares my views on lip syncing in gacha, because a lot of people, especially you know, a year or two back, around the tail end of the Live 2D uprising, I suppose. It's a little bit of a extra space here. I've gone down. The limit over here. Anyway, a lot of people during that time put a lot of emphasis on actually getting the lip movements to, you know, match the voice a lot. And in the English language, that is something that is a common practice. Because with if you notice, but with anything made in Japan particularly, it's something that you don't see too much of. But because of the way that English works, we just notice it a bit more. The thing is that specifically the animated mouths that are provided in Gacha Club and Gacha Life, possibly Gachaverse, I forget now. Yeah, it was Gachaverse as well, because I just watched one of them. They move so quickly that that the mouth, that the human eye just already adjusts to it. So it is almost entirely pointless. It is a sign of dedication to the craft, but it often comes at the expense of other stuff that is actually more important. And I guess because they save so much, you know, time on animation and whatever for Imperfect, you would think that emphasis would go towards the story. And there are bits of that. There's like a mystery and such that I am intrigued by, and seemingly some history that has been censored from the world. And in the description there is this idea of the main character slowly becoming imperfect, but yet in the first episode there was one seeming example of that happening. And I have also said that the main character is pretty good. I really enjoy. Hold on, I was going this way, wasn't I? Yeah, I really enjoy what she had to offer. It was one of those spoiled brats with an actual like charm and personality to pull it off, or the unlikable characters that you would that you actually want to root for to some extent, rather than just like get rid of entirely. Again, the Millie versus Xander debate, as we've coined that on that day, because we also watched the Music Freak spin-off, which I have significantly less to say about, but that's probably a good thing in this instance. Because I look back at some of these where I think like, okay, I've mostly spent this week doing, edits and such, more back-facing characters, and I, finished that particular scene that involved the back-facing characters. So, but apart from that, it's been a case of okay, well, what do I do now? Let's catch up on people above. Let's sign the contract for the place I'm going to stay at in Spain and whatever, or let's message some people and try to organize some like friend outings or whatever. And so I looked back at this week and I was like, okay, what stuff I want to talk about here, and that I guess they have something more to say about that I haven't mentioned in the actual reviews, because we did eventually get around to reviewing Fallen Angels. That did in fact happen. So that was good. But yeah, we've but yeah, I guess for a lot of these I've said my piece. But I guess because imperfect kind of represents something else about the gacha community that I'm really not sure about. I mean, if anything, just like the minor details that KW added in the Yu-Gi-Oh episode made that to me better than imperfect. Like a video that, made by one person seemed to have more charm to it than a voice acted production that was constantly cutting corners. Because again, cutting corners is fine, but it's just, if we do it in excess. That's why we say about Fallen Angels versus like Many Miss Mrs. Dysart on Aiden's channel, how there's a key difference between the way that one of them, minimalizes everything it can, and the other actually, goes for it sometimes. Which I think is like, Fallen Angels, because Aiden has been hesitant for a long time to employ new techniques or anything. And I guess to some extent he does like still delegate that stuff, because, you've got like the Bond animations that you get every now and then, for example. But he's willing to be a bit bolder, to take a bit more time over these things now than he was before. And I think that has made that show an overall better product. He mentions that every time he does a Fallen Angels episode, it does way better than any other series that he puts out. And I think that's part of why. Also short animation, but that's part of why. So that's why I think about that a lot still, and I hope that Imperfect continues to improve, but who knows. For now, please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. Subscribe to us already, and on that note, until next time, farewell.